Thank you for joining with me. Today we are on day 41 of the Course Companions Facebook group. If you'll please close your eyes and join me in a prayer. Dear God, if left to my own devices, my perception will be skewed. I surrender to you everything that I think and feel. God, please take my past, plan my future, send your spirit to redeem my mind that I might be set free. May I be your channel, God, and serve the world. May I become who you would have me be, do what you would have me do, go where you would have me go, and say what you would have me say, and to whom, dear God. God, I thank you for enabling me to have an open mind for a new experience. Thank you, God. Amen. So we are on day 40, I think it's 41. Section 8, the sole responsibility of the miracle worker. We said in a previous section that the miracle is an expression of miracle-mindedness. Footnote 97. The distinction has also been made here between miracle-mindedness as a state and miracle-doing as its expression. That was in the Chapter 1, Miracle Principle 46. Miracle-mindedness merely means right-mindedness in the sense that we are now using it. I have to fix my seat, sorry. Right-mindedness is neither exalts nor depreciates the mind of the miracle worker or of the miracle receiver. However, as a creative act, the miracle need not await the right-mindedness of the receiver. In fact, its purpose is to restore him to his right mind, but it is essential that the miracle worker be in his right mind, or he will be unable to reestablish right-mindedness in someone else. The healer who relies on his own readiness is endangering his understanding. He is perfectly safe as long as he is completely unconcerned about his readiness, but maintains a consistent trust in mine. Errors of this kind produce some very erratic behavior, which usually points up an underlying unwillingness to cooperate. These errors inevitably introduce inefficiency into the miracle worker's behavior and temporarily disrupt his miracle-mindedness. Jesus gave an example here in which Bill, in typing up the notes, inserted the carbon backwards so that two copies did not exist. Since the second copy was intended for someone, this meant that the gift had now been withheld. This withholding, Jesus implied, was not truly unintentional, but rather was the conscious reflection of an underlying unwillingness on Bill's part. Jesus said this reflected two levels of confidence lack, one in my readiness to heal, and the other in Bill's own willingness to give. This is a perfect illustration of the point Jesus is making here. Bill was not fully trusting in and cooperating with Jesus' readiness to heal, and this produced erratic behavior, forgetting to put the carbon in right, which then resulted in inefficiency. We have established that for all corrective processes, the first step is know that this is fear. 99. That's text chapter 148. Know first that this is an expression of fear, and that's footnote 99. I'm trying to be mindful of those that are listening to this and not reading along with me, so I hope that I'm clear for you. Unless fear had entered, the corrective procedure would never have become necessary. If your miracle-working propensities are not working, it is always because fear has intruded on your right-mindedness and has literally upset it, turned it upside down. In all forms of not right-mindedness are the result of refusal to accept the atonement for yourself. If the miracle worker does accept it, he places himself in the position to recognize that those who need to be healed are simply those who have not done so. When you feel the vast radiation range from your own inner illumination, it will be because you are aware that your right-mindedness is healing. Footnote 100. The reference to the vast radiation range of your own inner illumination was originally an experience of Helen's. It probably refers to the following experience recorded in her autobiography. One experience took place when Bill, my husband, and I were at the theater together in the summer of 1965. Sitting in the dark, I was aware of a strong inner light that began in the chest area and grew increasingly intense and encompassing until it seemed to radiate throughout the theater and include everyone there. My awareness of the light, which lasted for some 10 minutes, was accompanied by a deep sense of peace and joy. I could hardly believe for a time that no one else was aware of it. I want that. It's really cool. All right, so where was I? Here I go again, losing my place. The sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept atonement himself. This means that he knows that mind is the only creative level and that its errors are healed by the atonement. Once he accepts this, his mind can only heal. By denying his mind any destructive potential and reinstating its purely constructive powers, he has placed himself in a position where he can undo the level confusion of others. The message which he then gives to others is the truth that their minds are really similarly constructive and that their own miscreations cannot hurt them. By affirming this, the miracle worker releases the mind from evaluating its own learning device, the body, and restores the mind to its true position as the learner. It should be re-emphasized that the body does not learn any more than it creates. 101. Footnote 101, text chapter 2, section 7. The body is a learning device for the mind. It does not have the power in itself to introduce actual learning errors. As a learning device, it merely follows the learner, but if it is falsely endowed with self-initiative, it becomes a serious obstruction to the learning it should facilitate. Only the mind is capable of illumination. Only the mind is capable of illumination. Spirit is already illuminated, and the body in itself is too dense. The mind, however, can bring its own illumination to the body by recognizing that density is the opposite of intelligence and therefore unamenable to independent learning. It is, however, easily brought into alignment with a mind which has learned to look beyond density toward light. Corrective learning always begins with awakening the spiritual eye and turning away from belief in physical sight. The reason this entails fear is because you are afraid of what your spiritual eye will see, which is why you closed it in the first place. We said before that the spiritual eye cannot see error and is capable only of looking beyond it to the defense of atonement. Footnote 102, text chapter 2. Section 6. The spiritual eye literally cannot see error and merely looks for atonement. Back to the text. There is no doubt that the spiritual eye does produce extreme discomfort by what it sees. The thing that you forget is that the discomfort is not the final outcome of its perception. When the spiritual eye is permitted to look upon the defilement of the altar, it also looks immediately toward atonement. Nothing which the spiritual eye perceives can induce fear. Everything that results from accurate spiritual awareness merely is channelized toward correction. Discomfort is aroused only to bring the need to correct forcibly into awareness. What the physical eye sees is not corrective, nor can it be properly corrected by any device which can be physically seen. As long as you believe in what your physical sight tells you, all your corrective behavior will be misdirected. The reason why the real vision is obscured is because you cannot endure to see your own defiled altar. But since the altar has been defiled, this fact becomes doubly dangerous unless it is perceived. This perception is totally non-threatening because of the atonement. The fear of healing arises in the end from an unwillingness to accept the unequivocal fact that healing is necessary. The fear arises because of the necessary willingness to look at what you have done to yourself. Healing was an ability which was lent to human beings after the separation, before which it was completely unnecessary. So before the separation, it was completely unnecessary. Like all aspects of the space-time belief, healing ability is temporary. However, as long as time persists, healing remains among the stronger human protections. This is because healing always rests on charity, and charity is a way of perceiving the true perfection of another, even if he cannot perceive it himself. Most of the loftier concepts of which humanity is capable now are time-dependent. Charity is really a weaker reflection of a much more powerful love encompassment, which is far beyond any form of charity that humanity can conceive of as yet. Charity is essential to right-mindedness in the limited sense in which right-mindedness now can be attained. Charity is a way of looking at another as if he had already gone far beyond his actual accomplishment in time. Since his own thinking is faulty, he cannot see the atonement himself, or he would have no need for charity at all. The charity which is accorded him is both an acknowledgement that he is weak and a recognition that he could be stronger. The way in which both of these beliefs are stated clearly implies their dependence on time, making it quite apparent that charity lies within the framework of human limitations, though toward the higher levels. We said before that only revelation transcends time. Footnote 103, that's text chapter 148. Only revelation transcends it, time having nothing to do with time at all. The miracle, as an expression of true human charity, can only shorten it at best. It must be understood, however, that whenever you offer a miracle to another, you are shortening the suffering of both. This introduces a correction into the record, which corrects retroactively as well as progressively. 104. The record, see Chapter 146, seems to be a non-physical record of all our thoughts, words, and deeds. This passage suggests that giving a miracle actually alters the record, erasing errors recorded for both the past and probable future. And there you have it. Chapter 2, Day 41, I think. Right defense and release from fear. Section 8, the sole responsibility of the miracle worker. Thank you for joining with me. I love you. Responsibility of the miracle worker. Section 7 in Chapter 2, Day 41 of Course Companions. Overview. The sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept atonement himself. 4.1, which denies our mind any destructive potential, thus placing us in a position to undo the level confusion of others. 5.4. Reflections. Paragraph 10 notes that healing always rests on charity, and charity is a way of perceiving the true perception of another, even if he cannot perceive it himself. 10.4. What this means is that our job as miracle workers is to look at another as if he had already gone far beyond his actual accomplishment in time. If you're being honest, how charitable are you normally when viewing yourself and others? Exercise. With those you are with today, silently repeat the phrase, I perceive the true perfection of you, even if you cannot perceive it yourself. Please write any insights or observations you have while practicing this experiment in the space provided below. Key passages. We have established that for all corrective processes, the first step is to know that this is fear. All forms of not right-mindedness are the result of refusal to accept the atonement for yourself. Nothing which the spiritual eye perceives can induce fear. Discomfort is aroused only to bring the need to correct forcibly into awareness. Thank you for joining with me. Day 41, the sole responsibility of the miracle worker. And thank you for joining with me as a miracle worker. Have a beautiful day.